Hello everybody, welcome back to the Stacey West preview show. I am your host Jake. We're here for another Sky Bet League One preview, the penultimate game of the season, the last away game of the season, so I expect to see loads of you up there in Accrington on Saturday afternoon. We're joined by Callum from the Raw Milk Pod. Callum, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, mate, thank you. Looking forward to our last away game. Obviously, it'll be your last home game, am I right in saying that?
Yeah, last home game, then Wimbledon away for us the week after.
Oh, what an away day to finish on. Wimbledon is a class one. We did it a couple of weeks ago. I just want to talk about your season in general. And Callum, obviously, you guys have stayed up quite convincingly. You're nowhere near the drop. You're kind of nowhere near the playoffs either. But being in League One for Accrington Stanley is a massive achievement. And to retain that status is surely what you aim for at the start of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it is, like you say, a bit of a double-edged sword because last season, the sort of the COVID season, we did sort of flirt with the playoffs. If we'd had a bit more luck with injuries and suspensions, we might have sneaked in there. But given the size of the club, given the budget, and I'm very pessimistic anyway, I would always take survival on goal difference every year. So to be comfortable, I mean, we were comfortable 5 or 6 games ago, really. So to have sort of 10 games left with, very little to play for is a luxury, really. Great season.
And John Coleman, talk to me about him, what a job he's doing at Accrington. I'm sure you can't write enough superlatives about him. Yeah,
I mean, it's one of the sort of English football's great mysteries, really, how John Coleman doesn't get attention from bigger clubs. And it's never been done before. 4 promotions. We were languishing in the 7th tier when he came in. We just had our first ever relegation. We used to lose, 5-0 to places like Bamber Bridge and Flixton and these kind of places. And we used to get gates of sort of 300-400 a push. To take us full time, to take us back into the league and into League One and be going toe to toe with your Sunderlands and your Portsmouths and your Ipswiches is it's mental, really. I mean, what he's done not just for the club, but for the town as well. Keeping the town on the map. And he can't, he walks on water in Accrington. We've just opened a new bar named after him. I'll be the first to chip in for the statue when he leaves. Great man and a great ambassador for the club and the town.
And do you think, obviously, there'll be a lot of comparisons drawn between John Coleman and perhaps because of recent weeks, what's happened with Sean Dyche at Burnley? Do you feel that that's A, a fair comparison, and B, sort of, are you expecting John Coleman to move on to better things?
I mean, it's a comparison I hear a lot in sort of the East Lancs area. Burnley are only down the road from Accrington, 5 miles down the road. So I do hear that a lot. But I always chime in and say Sean Dyche did take Burnley down once. But pound for pound, it's a very similar job. But I would say John Coleman's footballing philosophy is probably a bit more expansive than Sean Dyche. We like to get it down and play. But in terms of him moving on, there was a period sort of 10 years ago when he left for Rochdale.
Yeah.
And it didn't go too well for him. And he came back to us via sort of Sligo in Ireland and Southport. And I think he had his fingers burned a bit. And we'd be in his late 50s now. It would have to be a very, very, very lucrative offer or a very big club that I don't think will come in for him. But it must be frustrating for him because he sees his contemporaries, your Nigel Cloughs and your Mark Coopers get these big chances when they've done really sort of half as much on sometimes twice the money. So I don't think he'll leave again. But I think it'll be interesting to see what happens to Burnley with Dyche now, because I've got a feeling that should they go down, they might struggle in the Championship, which on one hand I'd be delighted with because I'd love to welcome Burnley to the Crown Ground in a league game. But also it's not good for the area, really. It's nice for East Lancashire to have a Premier League team, I think.
Yeah, we've got some good memories of Turf Moor given our recent history. I'm just curious to get some of your highlights of the season. Obviously, you like you mentioned, you've rubbed toes with the big boys in League One. Well, the big boys, they like to call themselves. What's been your personal highlight of the season?
I think it's been great having the derby back with Morecambe. So Morecambe came up last season to the playoffs. Derek Adams, fantastic job. No one expected that. And it's a strange one because we've played Morecambe many times. and they're a very similar size club to us. But this season, because they've had a great, the season tickets are 150 quid. They've been getting 3,500-4,000 on at home, which is great. But a lot of the younger fans are acting like that's always been the case.
Right.
And I know suddenly they're a lot bigger than us and they should be smashing us and things like that. So when they came to the Crown Ground this year, it's always been sort of a friendly derby, but it had quite a bit of needle to it, which I quite enjoyed in a way. So that was a highlight, coming from 2-0 down to draw against them at home. The 3-3 away game at the Seaside was excellent. School in Charlton, 2-0 away from home. Always good to go to the big teams and win. I just love it because I was on Radio Newcastle when we played Sunderland, and I don't know who the second pundit was, but he was doing as you alluded to before, the old, is it your cup final?
Yeah.
What's it like for your players? They're used to it. The professional third tier footballers, it's not a day out. It's not a cup final. We're here on merit. And it's a strange thing with Accrington Stanley because say you are a Sunderland or an Ipswich or a Portsmouth and you lose to Lincoln or you lose to, I don't know, somebody of that ilk. It's disappointing, but they'll brush it off. Whereas if they lose to Accrington, it's an absolute disgrace. But we're a league higher than teams like Bradford and Tranmere. We're 2 leagues higher than your Stockports and your Wrexhams. We're only a small club in a small town, but the 11 we put out is often a match for anybody.
Yeah, I think I heard Ian Evatt this week talk about the fact that they got 19,000 down there against you guys, and they were saying, "Oh, that should win us some extra points." Where obviously, it was making a message about MK Dons, wasn't he, and Rotherham saying they only got 6k home fans, but fans don't win you any sort of points in this league. I think it's been a really good division, hasn't it, between those bigger teams and the smaller teams. It's all been really good. What would you say has been your low light of the season, Callum? You must have had a couple. I think, in fact, the reverse fixture seems a bit of a low light to us, given obviously it's Accrington Stanley, as you alluded to. What would say your low light of the season has been?
I would probably say getting done 4-0 away at Burton. And about 3 of the goals were our fault, like stupid back passes, goalkeeper errors, things like that.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was a couple of months ago now, you thought we'll do well to stay up. You couldn't see where the next win was coming from. Injuries were racking up. Dion Charles, great goal scorer, went to Bolton in sort of controversial circumstances. So that would be the low light, getting absolutely hammered off Burton away. And this sort of run of form we've been on, really. We've got a great striker called Colby Bishop. The goals have dried up with him recently. But yeah, that was certainly by far probably the worst performance, 4-0 reverse at Burton. Perhaps maybe it's a little bit off topic, but I just want to get sort of your quality opinion on maybe the quality of the bottom end of League One this season. As one of the smaller clubs, are you surprised how bad the bottom of League One is? Like, likes of Crewe and Doncaster. I mean, Crewe and Doncaster have been abysmal. They've been down for some time, not mathematically, but in people's heads they've been down, haven't they? The thing that shocked me is I saw a stat that said Wimbledon haven't won since early December.
Yeah, when they beat you,
and they can still stay up.
Yeah.
Well, it's always the way. That's it. I mean, if they need to win on the last day to stay up, we'll probably give it to them. That's the way our season goes, really. But I have been I'm surprised Morecambe have pulled away because I saw a stat that suggested they had the hardest running.
Yeah.
And they've had sort of Charlton away, they've got Sunderland at home to come. They had a lot of the big teams, a lot of the sort of challenging teams. But Derek Adams has got them a few wins. Gillingham, when they came to us, they beat us 2-1 at the Crown just under a month ago. They were poor, but they got the job done. We had a young goalkeeper in, 17-year-old making his debut. They just bullied him and got 2 set piece goals. I've been surprised how poor some of the teams were. Like you say, Crewe, when we played them both times, shocking. But Doncaster, I thought would do a little bit better this year. They've got a sort of League One playoff experience. I think it's a shame for Crewe because David Artell did such a good job to get them up. And they're just known, aren't they, for that track record of, bringing great youngsters through, and it seems to have sort of dried up a bit for them. But I think Fleetwood will definitely go down. They look very poor. We beat them the other week. And I'd probably say, sadly, probably would be Wimbledon, I think, to join Doncaster and Crewe.
Yeah, two really good away days as well to lose. So that would be an absolute travesty if you travel your team home and away. We're going to go through your player of the season nominees now. Then Callum, I've written four names down. I mean, I'll read them to you. That I might be completely wrong. I've watched you guys on Quest quite a lot this year. So first and foremost, I've written down Toby Savin. I think he's a really good goalkeeper. I've gone for Michael Nottingham, McConville, and then Colby Bishop because he scored the winner at our place. Have I gone off the scent completely, or was there somebody else?
Yeah, pretty much. The only extra one I'd probably stick in there, well, there'll be two. One will be Michael Nottingham at the back, who's been pretty much our only defender this season. Yeah, the rest of the back four have forgotten how to defend. And when he came in a year ago, at 32 years old, on a 3-year contract, a lot of people rolled their eyes, but he's done really well for us. And Ethan Hamilton will be the other one.
Yeah.
Played sort of 20-odd games for Peterborough when they went up.
Yeah.
Bit of a coup to get him, really. But he's played really well. But Savin's interesting because obviously he's only 19 still now. There's a lot of big clubs watching him. But when he started to get into the team last year and the year before that, he made a lot of errors. And he was quite poor for a long time, to the extent where he started to become a bit of a scapegoat. It's like you can see the goal that wasn't his fault and the fans would turn on him. But he's turned that around to the extent where we had a goalkeeper, James Trafford, on loan from Man City. Yeah. Toby kept him out of the team, and James Trafford's gone to Bolton now. So I think young player of the year will definitely get that, and he'll probably get player of the year, I think, as well. He's done really well for us.
Yeah, you're not to mention Peterborough getting promoted on this pod, Callum. Obviously, they cheated the promotion against us last season, as we all saw.
That's true.
It is true. Your Easter weekend, then, obviously, I think you probably, looking at it objectively, you would have said you probably could have done better coming up against Burton. Obviously, yes, they beat you last time, but they're in a dire run of form, and they're probably fortunate the season's ending now because in 10 games' time, they might well be down there themselves. And obviously, a 3-1 loss to Bolton, which I think we actually mirrored that result when we went up to the Uni Bowl as well. So just talk to us about your Easter weekend and how you played generally.
Yeah, so the Burton game was diabolical. I think if both teams had been playing now, they still wouldn't have scored. I was half expecting Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank to strip off and give himself 10 minutes at the end because they don't concede many and we can't score. So I had 0-0 written all over it. John Coleman apologised in his interview for not entertaining the fans. But on the flip side, a clean sheet is quite rare for us, so I'll take that. The Bolton game was an odd one because we actually played as well as we've played in quite a while. We were quite unlucky at 2-1 down. We had a goal ruled out for offside for 2-2. And then we got a sending off, and then 3-1. It was game over, really, but we competed quite well. Like you say, in front of 19,000. I know it's a bit of a cliche when you go away from home, but the ref did seem to have that sort of big crowd sway a lot of the time. A lot of the decisions were very late. With that sort of thing where they wait for the noise first.
Yeah.
We've all seen it. I don't blame them. It's human instinct sometimes. But if we'd have had, ironically, we gave Dion Charles a lot of stick that game. If we'd have had him, we'd probably have won. That's the difference. And that's why strikers cost you the big money, isn't it? But
perhaps talk to us a little bit about Charles. And obviously he moved in quite controversial fashion, like you say. I think, did he refuse to play for the first half of the season while you were doing contract negotiations, and then he ended up moving for a fee in January?
Yeah, I think it's typical of a young footballer whose sort of agent gets in his head. Did very well for us last year, scored a lot of goals.
Yeah.
Got a few Northern Ireland caps, actually.
Yeah.
Got called to the Northern Ireland senior team, which obviously, rockets your value straight up there. He wanted to leave. We wanted him to sign a new deal. Bit of a stalemate. Just refused to play. Down tools. Yeah. Which is a shame, really, because big clubs came in for Colby Bishop and he did the opposite. He just got his head down and carried on, which is the right attitude to have. And I don't blame, we were having this discussion on Monday, actually, on the terraces. I don't blame Dion for wanting to make the move because it is life-changing money for him. If you're at Tesco and has to triple your wage, you go.
Yeah.
Fans forget that sometimes. And fans also forget that if you break your leg, the club will see you out. It's only a short career, isn't it? But so I don't begrudge him the move, but the way he engineered it was left an unpleasant taste in people's mouths. But like you say, it just left us toothless, really, because Colby's he's got a good scoring record for us, but he's more of a hold-up player, 1 in 3, that kind of striker. Needs that quick striker to play off him, really. We signed a lad from Burnley on loan, Joel Mumbongo, who Burnley fans had raved about him. He played 1 or 2 first-team games, and it was a bit of a coup to get him because Championship clubs were sniffing. But he was absolutely terrible for us and then got injured. We signed a player called Lewis Mansell, who might be a good prospect, but he's just not good enough at the moment. So you're relying on either one up front, or you're playing sort of, young, untested players, or expecting your wingers to do a bit more. And then Sean McConville got injured as well, which is a big source for assists, takes a lot of set pieces, things like that. So we have a lot of the ball in games, but we seem to sort of panic in the final third and not do much with it. So it left a massive gap, to the extent where I'm sure you've had the same, where you don't realise how good a player is sometimes until they've gone. And your complete pattern of play changes. That's what it was like when Dion Charles left.
Yeah, must have been a nightmare. Now, obviously, when you get to the point of the season where your season's completely finished, like yours is, and now like ours is, you're just looking forward to next season. And are you expecting a big overhaul at Accrington in the summer? Are we expecting lots of deals? I know John Coleman can be a bit of a wheeler dealer when it comes to plucking kids out of non-league like Bishop, etc. Are we expecting Accrington to be quite busy in the transfer window?
Not as much as in previous years. I think Andy Holt, since he's come in, has given us that financial stability. So we used to be the Poundland of the Premier League, not the Premier League, Poundland of the Football League, like the bargain bucket. So the prime example was when we had Matt Crooks and Josh Windass both went to Rangers for 20 grand each, when they were at least £500,000 players, and because the financial state of the club, and you're taking gambles on non-league prospects, we could only usually give out 12-month contracts. So if they were good, they just got poached for nothing. So every year Coleman's been here has been a rebuilding job, and you're signing 8, 9, 10 players in the summer. We don't have to do that now because a lot of the lads are on 2-3 year deals. So I'd expect us to be in for a keeper, especially if Toby Savin goes, which I expect him to. A good result would be for him to go and get loaned back to us from a bigger club, really. We need a defender, good strong centre half, and 1 or 2 new strikers as well. So I think we'll get 4 or 5 in, but it won't be the sort of 10, 15 that it used to be. More about keeping them, really. People like Colby Bishop or Harry Pell, just need to keep them and build on their Matt Butcher as well.
Yeah, nothing like an Ipswich rebuild expected up in Accrington then. And in terms of the league for next year, are you purely the same as you were probably 12 months ago, just less than, say, survival on goal difference is absolutely fine?
That's what I would take, but I know John Coleman, he's got higher expectations than that, and he expects us to challenge. When John Coleman left and James Beattie came in for a while, people thought James Beattie would do really well because he had a lot of contacts and things like that. But he loved pushing in the media the little old Accy line. We can't compete, we don't have the money, yada yada. And I think that gets in the players' heads sometimes, and it gives them sort of inbuilt excuse. Whereas Coleman came back and he said, "No, we're here on merit," and he took us up as champions above Luton, who are lying in the Championship now. So Coleman will always want to push for the playoffs, but I will take staying up. I don't think we'll be in any danger, same as this season, really. I think we'll flirt with the playoffs till about January, and then we'll come anywhere between sort of 9th and 15th, But that's a success for us.
Yeah, I think I actually remember you winning League Two because you lifted the trophy when you played against us, and then we won it the year after you guys. So take your mind back then to, I think it was December or November of last year when you came to Sincil Bank. You turned out 1-0 winners. Colby Bishop, taking advantage of a goalkeeping mistake. What were your thoughts on the game, and perhaps your thoughts on Lincoln? Are you surprised to see Lincoln just about scraping survival this season compared to what we were last year?
Yeah, I had a quick look at the table, and you're 6 points below us. I thought you'd be doing a lot better, to be honest. I thought you'd be top half pushing for the playoffs. Obviously, the Cowley brothers, they rebuilt that club, and you get very good gates on now as well.
Yeah.
Sort of 9,000-10,000, depending on how it's going. So I'd expect them to challenge. But when we played there, it was a strange one because we were on a poor run of form then as well. And it sort of, I wouldn't say it turned our season around, but at the time we looked like relegation candidates. And then we came in, Colby Bishop, the old smash and grab 1-0. and it gives us a bit of momentum and belief then to pick up results that we could go away and win. Which, ironically, since then we don't do. Our away form is absolutely shocking. Home form, Fortress, one of the best in the division. Away, can't buy a win. So it was a big win for us at the time. And again, you get blasé about these things as an Accrington fan. It's like if we play Lincoln or if we play Plymouth Argyle or Gillingham, something like that, there'll be people in the town and go, well, it's only Lincoln, it's only Plymouth. I won't bother today. But there was a time not long ago when people would queue around the block for that. You know, we get a bit greedy and blasé sometimes. So you'll probably bring a lot. I'd imagine last away game, 2,000, 1,500, something like that.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's a nice sunny day for you. You know, get in the beer tent, sort yourselves out. It's generally quite a good away day as long as you don't get wet. We've got the new stand as well, which wasn't there last time. So a few of you will stay dry. But I did expect Lincoln to be slightly better, and I think because is it still Michael Appleton? Is he still there?
Michael Appleton. Yeah.
I think he talks a good game and he tries to play the game the right way. And I'd expect with a little bit more time he'll get it right. But I expect Lincoln to playoff challenge depending on the recruitment in the summer, really.
Yeah, fingers crossed, Callum. I think everyone is sort of expecting a similar sort of season to like you said there. If I had to push you for a prediction for Saturday afternoon, what are you saying?
2-2.
2-2.
2-2. 2-2 draw. Yeah.
Nice. And nothing like the 4-4 you had against Cheltenham a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that was like someone was playing FIFA or something. It was to be 4. That sums up our season, to be 4-2 up.
Yeah.
In stoppage time and draw 4-4. You know, I actually was little bit late to that game. I missed like the first 10 minutes. I was walking up to the ground with a Cheltenham fan who missed his train or something, and we both said, "This is going to be an awful game, probably the most nailed-on 0-0 you'll ever see," and it was 4-4. So I've said it's going to be 2-2. So because of me now, it'll be a dour 0-0. But we live in optimism and hope.
Well, bro, thanks for coming on, Callum. Massively appreciated. Do you want to plug your podcast and where Lincoln fans can get your reaction to the game?
Yes, it's the Raw Milk Podcast. So on Twitter, it's at Raw Milk Zine, Sadini. And you can find the podcast on all usual sort of podcast apps. And the Twitter feed, as I say, is Raw Milk Zine. So check that out after the game. Yeah, go give him a follow. It's a really good podcast. And I'll be collaborating with Callum actually tomorrow night as we go on Gab Sutton's mid-table meandering show, which we're all excited for. Well, thanks for coming on, Callum. Thank you guys for watching. We're trying to get to 500 subs by the end of the season. It's only 2 games to go, so if we could get a foot down and put it on, press the subscribe button, press the notification bell as well, so you don't miss any videos. And thank you for watching. We'll see you for the final game against Crewe.